Welcome to Tracking Macros. This is your Carb Manager tutorial. So, like I said, this Carb Manager is the app that I actually suggest using. It is very easy to use. It's used by a lot of people. And it's also a guide. You still need to make sure you're looking at ingredients with things when you use them. So it is just a guide, but it is one that most of us will need in order to reach goal. So what do we need to do in order to track our macros? And what are macros? And why is it important that we track macros? Macros is short for macronutrients. Macronutrients are the nutrients that we have in our foods. For the ketogenic lifestyle, we will track carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So keto is high fat, moderate protein, low carb. Usually the ratio is 70 to 75% fat, 20 to 25% protein, and only 5 to 10% carbohydrates. Now, why is that important? It is important for this equation that we try to do as much as we can, or eat as much as we can with this ratio, because that is what keeps your body into ketosis. So let's talk about, before we get into how to work it, what do those numbers mean and what should we be looking for? So fats, especially in the beginning, it's important that you try to meet your fat macros in the beginning. Because for one, you're trying to get a good production of ketones going on, and fats will help you reach that. The other thing is fats are used as a leveler, meaning they're used to fix the hunger. So fats will be what makes you not hungry. And remember, fats are what you call satiating. It makes you feel full. It takes a long time to digest, and fats barely initiate an insulin response. So that makes it very easy for us to be able to sustain from meal to meal and stay on this lifestyle. So that's why fats are important. So in the beginning, when you're transforming over from burning glucose to burning ketones for fuel, it is important that you meet your fat macros. Now, once you get to the point that you're in ketosis and that you're producing ketones, fat is used as a leveler, meaning it's used to control the hunger. So that can be a little bit tricky. So you want to eat enough to make sure you aren't hungry, but you want to eat enough so that you don't want to eat too much so that you're not burning, or that you aren't burning your body fat and you're burning dietary fat. So we're always fat burners. So if I'm eating too much fat, that means I'm going to be burning the fat I'm eating instead of my body fat. And if I want to lose weight, then that means I want to burn my own body fat. But again, that is tricky because you have to make sure you're eating enough to sustain your hunger. So you may have to play with that once you get past the initial stage. What about protein? It is very important that you meet your protein goals because protein is what's going to make sure that you do not lose muscle mass, and that is very important. So we don't want you to lose muscle mass. It's important that you retain your muscle, especially as you get older. So please, you want to always meet your protein. Carbohydrates, you never have to meet your carbs. Never, ever, ever have to meet your carb macros. They are there. And I have a lot of people say, well, I have some carbs left for the day, so I want to go eat such and such. You don't have to. So like I said, you never, ever, ever have to meet your carb macros. Now, your green leafy vegetables, you do not have to necessarily track your green leafy vegetables. So that's a given. You can eat a lot of those. Now, there are some people who will want to track those. If you're trying to do some extreme things, then you can track those. But as a rule of thumb, you do not have to track green leafy vegetables. So to recap that, what are we looking for in this app? This is the Carb Manager app again. And so what we want to do is fats in the beginning. You want to meet your fat macros. And once you become, or once you get into ketosis and you get to the point that you aren't hungry, you can cut back on your fats. So you don't have to meet your fat macros after a couple of weeks, but you do need to eat enough to make sure you're not hungry, but not eating too much that you want to burn your body fat and not dietary fat. Proteins, you always want to meet your protein macros because that's important for you to sustain your muscle mass. Carbohydrates, you never, ever, ever have to meet your carb macros. Okay, so to get started, now we know what we're looking for in the app, and I'll recap that again in the end. You want to go to your app store and download the Carb Manager app. I will show you exactly what it looks like. So Carb Manager, that is what it will actually look like. The little carb C on the outside with the M on the inside. So you'll want to download that. Do you have to get the premium one? It's up to you. You don't have to. It's totally up to you. So you can subscribe to the premium if you want to, but it's not necessary. Now, when you first get in, you're going to get through the setup page. And so it's going to take you through a thing, and it's going to ask you some questions as far as what your weight is, what your height is, and all of that stuff. And you want to go through and actually automatically set that up. And while you're going through that, it will automatically assign your numbers. You're going to check the ketogenic one, and it'll automatically assign your macros according to the information that you entered in. Also, you want to, and like I say, that's what your profile page looks like. So you're going to go down and put in, it's going to ask you female, gender. Well, I'm a female, of course, but your gender is going to ask you your height, weight, how long, or your height, weight, and your year of birth. And it's actually going to also ask you what's your activity level. Now, what your activity level is going to, how is it going to assign your macros. I always choose sedentary. I sit down a lot, so I choose sedentary for mine. And once you do that, you're going to click to the next thing, and it's automatically, like I said, going to assign your macros. Now, when you get to the Carb Manager settings, it's on there. It's going to ask you if you want to track total or net carbs. In the beginning, I suggest you track net carbs. After you've been on a keto for a while, you can switch over to total carbs. So in the beginning, like I said, until you can get adjusted, I would suggest you track net carbs. And I always track all my macros and track calories. I always do that. I don't usually deduct when I exercise because that can throw your macros off. So I don't suggest that in the beginning. Now, if you want to switch to that later on, once you get an understanding of exercising and how your macros work, I would suggest switching over then. But in the beginning, you probably don't, because it's going to really throw your macros off. Everything else, it will be in there that you need. You're going to leave it on that setting, and you're going to click over to continue, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to assign your macros. And when you get to this is going to be what your home screen looks like. So that is going to be your home screen, and that's actually going to tell you how many carbohydrates you're allowed, total calories. Now, calories are there for a guide. We will track macros, but the theory is if you're in line with your macros, then your calories will actually also be in line. Now, it's when you enter things, it's actually going to deduct from how many you get each day. So it's going to tell you how much you have left. Now, if you're doing meal prep, I would actually suggest, like I said, you go ahead and enter them in as you do your meal prep, and then you can actually change that as you go along. Again, I also suggest that you enter meals before you eat them, because after you've eaten it, there's nothing we can do to change it if you go over. But you can adjust if you need to before you eat them. Now, in order to enter your meals, you notice there are 3 little dots on the side of it. And you're going to click on those 3 dots. I'm at the breakfast one. And then when you do that, you're going to click at the top where it says add foods. You're going to click add foods. And say, for instance, we had bacon for breakfast. So I'm going to key in bacon. And then bacon is going to come up. We see pork bacon, turkey bacon, beef bacon, bacon grease, all of that. So I'm going to say I had pork bacon. I'm going to click on pork bacon. When it gets to that, you're going to see it also gives me that it's a keto grade A. And then it also gives me the option to tell me how many I had and what type of slices they were. So I'm going to say that I had actually 2 thick sliced long. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to click the Add Today button. And when I do that, it automatically adds it to my breakfast for the day. Let's say I had eggs along with it. So I'm going to key in that search bar again. I'm going to key in eggs. So I'll enter eggs and return. And eggs come up. So I'm going to click on eggs. And say, for instance, I had 2 eggs. I'll add that to today. And did I just scramble the eggs in a pan? Did I add anything to it? Oh, I scrambled them in butter. Well, butter is fat. So I need to add that fat in so that it can calculate my fat for the day correctly. So I'm going to also key in butter. Butter comes up, and I'm going to click that. And how many did I have? I usually do 1 tablespoon of butter for each egg. Yeah, I know that's a lot of fat. But I do OMAD. OMAD is 1 meal a day. So I'll do 2 tablespoons, and then I'm going to click Add to Today. So that's going to add all of that. Oh, wait a minute. I did add cheese to my eggs. So I need to enter the cheese. So I'm going to do cheese. And I'm going to tell how much did I have. I had about 2 ounces of cheese. And so I'm going to, that also again, it tells me that it's a keto grade A. And I'm going to hit the Add Today button. So that was my breakfast and I'm done. But I'm still stuck on this screen right here. So how do I get out of that? If you click in the upper left-hand corner, click that X, it's going to take me back to this main screen. So it's also has added up all of my macros for my breakfast. And it tells me exactly how much of each one of my macros that I've eaten. So my breakfast was 2 net carbs. I've had 60 of my 120 fat grams that I'm allowed. So that was half of mine for the day, but I did have a lot of fat in it. Eggs had fat, bacon had fat, the cheese had fat, and so did the butter. So if you notice that that's too much for you, and say, for instance, I haven't eaten breakfast yet, then maybe I want to scale that back some. Instead of 2 ounces of cheese, I might want to only use 1. Instead of 2 tablespoons of butter, I may only want to use 1 to save me some fat macros for later on that day. But like I said, again, it gives you the balance of what you have left for each one of your macros. And you're going to do that every time you eat. Anytime you eat a meal, that's exactly what you want to do. And like I said, enter them in before you eat, because after you eat, there's nothing we can do about that. Okay? Now, say for instance, I have a meal or something that I purchased that isn't that I know the macros on, but the information isn't already in here. So what you want to do is you want to click this plus sign in the corner over here. Click that plus sign. And then there's a thing in the right-hand corner that says new. So you're going to click on that new. And then you're going to do custom. And so what this is I can put in the macros that I know on a particular thing. Say, for instance, I ordered something from someone and they've given me the macros. So I can name it. It'll allow me to put the name in. Then I can actually put the serving size in there. And if you scroll on down, you can actually put in all of the nutritional information. I can put in all the macros that whoever sold it to me told me that was in there. And once I'm done with all of that, I would hit save. And now, so anytime I have this in the future, I already have those macros, that item saved in there. And so when I decide to, if I ever decide to purchase that again, I would just do in the search bar when I get ready to add it to my macros for the day, enter whatever it is that I named it, and would automatically come up. So that makes it easier going forward once you've entered that in. Well, say for instance that I have a recipe and I need to calculate the macros from this recipe and I don't know what they are. Sometimes they will give you the macros, so you can go the easy route and do it the way that I just did it. Will help you, but if not, you can allow the Carb Manager app to calculate the macros for you. So again, once you're back on this home screen, you want to click this plus sign up in the right hand corner again. You're going to click on New, and you're going to click on Recipe. So when you click on Recipe, you can actually enter the name of it in. You can actually enter how many servings it is. And so when you're doing a recipe, you're doing the whole entire recipe. And so you're going to have to tell it how many servings is in that recipe so it'll know how to accurately assign the macros for that particular dish. So you're going to go in and you are going to put all of the ingredients that you put in. So you're going to put, say, for instance, if you had a cup of almond flour, a tablespoon of butter, and I'm just naming things. This is not a recipe at all. So you're going to click on this plus sign and enter all those in. When you click save, it is actually automatically going to assign the macros for that particular recipe. So the next time you cook it, guess what? It's already in there. So again, it may be a little work initially, but the longer you do it and the more things you put in, it's just as easy as 1, 2, 3 is going in and doing the search bar, entering the item that you chose or the item that you ate, and it will automatically go ahead and add those to your day. Now, there also are a lot of things already stored in here. So say, for instance, I went to lunch. So I clicked on my 3 dots beside lunch, and I'm going to click add foods. And I was rushing, so I didn't get to do meal prep. So I went to, let's say, Zaxby's. So I'm going to key in Zaxby's. Chicken. I'm going to click on this just to show you something. Zaxby's chicken finger plate came up. Chicken finger plate, and it has 4 fingers on it. So let's click on that. It tells me that it is a keto grade F to avoid this, of course, because it's breaded. But anyway, I wanted to show you that that is definitely a way that you can use to tell things if it's keto friendly or not. Now, again, that is a guide. You will still need to look at the ingredients, because I know one of the things that I like to avoid is aspartame, and it will give aspartame a keto grade A. And that is one of the things that I would avoid. So that's something I probably don't want to have. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to X out of that. But I'm still back on Zaxby's, and I'm going to do wings. And it'll actually tell you the different wings. And I always get traditional wings, no sauce. So if I'm going there, of course, we know that that is dirty keto. But sometimes if we're on the go, a lot of times we can't help that. So I'm going to do traditional wings, no sauce by Zaxby's, and I'm going to add that in. It also tells me that that is a keto grade A. And I can say how many of them that I had. And it's going to actually list it by serving. So if I had only 1 serving, I'm going to add that to my day. And it's going to automatically put it on there. Okay? And again, anytime you want to go back to that first screen, you're going to click the X in the corner over here to go back to this main screen. Okay, say for instance, I'm adding a snack. And same thing. I want to click on the dots on the side, and I want to add foods. Now, I'm in the store, and I want to figure out if this is truly an option that I could have. If you look at the top up here, the top row, there's one that says scan. You can click on that says scan, and the scanner will automatically come up. So that's the scanner, and you can actually scan the barcode on that particular item, food item, and it'll actually assign a keto grade to it for you. And so that's a very good way to help you, and it's pretty quick way to help you if you're in the grocery store trying to figure out if foods are good for you, or a good keto option to have. Again, this is just a guide. You still need to understand if it has bad ingredients or not. But if you're clicking through and they come up as F, there's no need for you to read them, and that can save you some time with that. But like I said, one of the things I choose to stay away from is aspartame, and it will assign items keto grade A for aspartame. So that's actually basically how you go about assigning your foods or logging your foods in Carb Manager. It's actually pretty easy. The more you do it, the easier it'll be for you to do and get the hang of. And again, to come to recap of why we're doing this, because it is important for you to understand what the makeups of your food are, the portions that you need to eat them in, the equation, getting it right to make sure we set your body up for ketosis. And to recap again, what are we looking for? You don't ever have to meet your carbohydrate macros. They are not important. You never, ever, ever have to meet your carbohydrate macros. Fats are used as a leveler. In the beginning, you do want to meet your fat macros, and so you can get some good ketone production going on. But once you start producing ketones and you're no longer hungry, you can cut back off your fats, and you just eat enough to make you satiated and make sure you aren't hungry, so that you're burning your body fat. Proteins. It's highly important that you always meet your proteins, because you want to make sure you are not losing muscle mass. So again, if you like this video, make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel. And we look forward to always bringing you the latest information on keto and any information we can help use to help you on your weight and health journey.